Welcome to the NCAA March Madness post-game press conference featuring Baylor. We will be hearing from Maceo Teague first, followed by Coach Scott Drew. Thank you for participating today. We will now begin the press conference. Please use the raise hand function to indicate you would like to ask a question. When you are called on for your question, please state your name and affiliation first. Our first question is from John Werner from the Waco Tribune. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay. Yeah, Maceo, John Werner, Waco Tribune Herald. What was this like, your first NCAA tournament game? You had to wait quite a long time for it.
It was definitely fun. I enjoyed the time out there being with the guys for the first time. We're a big family, and I enjoyed the day out there with my family today.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Kendall Cott with ODV. Please unmute.
Kendall Cott, ODV. Maceo, you all played great defense today. Kind of what had happened since the Big 12 tournament that you all focused on and played so well today?
We spent a lot of time practicing our defense, a lot of time practicing our rotations, and just competing at the highest level that we compete in over practice. We've only had like 3 practices since the pause, so of course there was some slippage there, but I feel like we played pretty good defense today.
Our next question comes from Eddie Pels. Eddie, please unmute and ask your question. Eddie, you're good to go ahead once you unmute.
Hey, Maceo. Same kind of question about offense. Just curious, did it take a little while to get used to this big arena and just kind of getting into the flow of the game when you in a place you really haven't played before?
Yeah, it was our first game in about 5 days, 5-6 days after we lost Oklahoma State. So we've been in a hotel a lot, been off our feet for a pretty long time, and it's just a new environment that we're not used to. So it was a good game to get adjusted, our first game in the tournament.
Awesome. Our next question comes from Kevin Lundquist. Kevin, please unmute.
Okay. Maceo, Kevin Lundquist, Sikkim Sports. Maceo, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the offensive rhythm that you guys got in toward the end of the second half. Was it just better shot selection, just guys getting better looks, or what do you think it was that caused that flurry toward the end of the first half?
We started getting clean rebounds, and we converted, I think, a few times in transition. We saw a couple guys saw the ball go through the net, and we got a string of good offensive possessions, and we made the shots that we were getting early in the game.
Awesome. Our next question comes from Matt Roberts. Matt, please unmute and then ask your question.
Yeah, Maceo, Matt Roberts, Fox 44 Sports. How you talk a little bit about settling into that rhythm. How different is it playing in an arena, a football stadium with basically 2 courts in there, the sight lines, just you as a shooter? How different is it for you?
It's pretty different, but I feel like it's a mind thing. People tell you that it's different, so you get into your mind that it's not a shooter's gym, but I feel like any gym is a shooter's gym. So just try to lock in and make shots.
Thanks.
All right. Matt Roberts, did you have another question? You can unmute and fire away if you did.
No, I'm good.
Thank you. If there's any more questions, we will take those right now. Again, please remember to introduce yourself with your name and your affiliation, as our student athlete and our coach will not be able to see you. John Werner, we're going to go back to you.
Yeah, John Werner, Waco Tribune Herald. Maceo, was it just more of getting into a rhythm as y'all moved along? Y'all just seemed to play better as the game evolved.
Yes, sir. I just felt like I said earlier, we were in a hotel for quite a few days. First time competing against somebody else. I feel like we got in a rhythm, and once we got in a rhythm, we stayed there.
Awesome. All right, Andrew Miner, we're going to go back to you with your question.
Yes, Andrew Miner, 24/7 Sports. Maceo, Hartford took a 14-13 lead with about 8 minutes left in the first half, and then it seemed that Everyday John's energy kind of picked you guys up, and you found him for some lobs, and that started opening up the middle of the court. What did you see from his energy that allowed to lift you guys from there and beyond?
Well, he does a great job coming off the bench with the amount of energy that he brings. He runs the floor hard. He tries to block shots. He rebounds the ball well for us. So, John, he does a great job coming off the bench, and I feel like his energy really picked us up a lot.
All right, Chuck Carlton, we'll go to you next.
Yeah, I was just curious. I mean, you guys went through a bit of a bubble-like atmosphere in Kansas City, but it seems it's much more pronounced here in Indianapolis. And when you're not at practice or when you're not at a game, what are you guys doing? What is that like for you guys back at the hotel?
Video games, reading. We watch a lot of film, watch basketball. We do schoolwork. So it's just a time throughout the day, just finding, like, we have a lot of times to where we have certain things that we have to do, and we have some free time. And we just try to manage our time as well as possible while we're here in the hotel.
All right, Andrew Miner, we're going to go to you next.
Yep. Late in the second half, Mark Vital got that technical foul there. What allowed you guys to just regroup and stay focused and finish the game off and not allow them to make a comeback run at you?
Just feel like we got a next man up mentality. We feel like the guys who come off the bench are as good as the guys on the floor, and we just had to stick together in a time like that. And when Mark was out the game, he was cheering us on as well as anybody has ever done this year. So Mark did a tremendous job on the bench, and we picked it up for him on the floor.
All right, Kendall, we will take your question.
Maceo, Adam had a really good game after maybe struggling the last couple games. What did you see from him today that allowed him to be so successful?
Just because you miss shots doesn't mean that you're playing bad. The flag, he made some shots tonight, and the average eye is going to say that he's playing good now. But that flag, he does other things for us other than score the basketball, make threes. So he's been doing just fine, in my opinion.
Awesome. And then our final question comes from Kevin. Kevin?
Yeah, Maceo, I think it was a season-high 15 steals for you guys. Did it feel like defensively that you guys were pretty close to where you have been before the pause, or where do you think you guys are at right now defensively with that week to prepare?
We may be pretty close to where we were before the pause, but that's all subjective. That's all someone's opinion. Hopefully we can be locked in for the game going in on Sunday.
All right, we will now begin with an opening statement from Coach Drew and then go to questions. Again, please use the raise hand function to indicate you would like to ask a question. When you are called on for your question, please state your name and your affiliation first. Coach, please give us a brief opening statement, and then we'll go to questions.
Well, I thought coming into this game, I knew teams would be nervous. A lot of guys didn't play in the tournament last year. A lot of guys, it was their first time in the tournament. We'd been here for a little bit, and the anticipation was high. And I thought the beginning of the game, that was indicative and maybe why teams got off to a slower start offensively. But the big thing I wanted to see was defensively. We worked really hard this week trying to get back to form and how we were playing pre-pause days. And I thought defensively we were, for most of the night, really good and much improved. So proud of that, because at the end of the day, we wouldn't have a chance to advance in this tournament if our defense won back. As far as a big win by Oral Roberts, really excited for them and Coach Mills as well.
Awesome, thank you. Now we will go to questions from the media. Again, please use the raise hand function to indicate you would like to ask a question. John, we're going to start with you.
Scott, after about 10 minutes, y'all got into a really good offensive rhythm, hit 12 of 17 shots in the first half. What did you feel like was going on there?
Well, I thought the nerves kind of calmed down, and we were able to get in transition, and the guards really were sharing the ball well, getting good looks. Once we got a couple breakaways, John had that dunk. I thought the guys started to relax and feel a lot more comfortable. At the same time, with feeling more comfortable on the offensive end, I thought defensively we kept up our pressure and intensity.
Hey, Kendall, we will go to you next.
Scott, Mark picked up his second foul with about 18 minutes left in the first half. What did you see from the defense that allowed them to respond so well from there?
Can you repeat that question? Because I couldn't really hear it.
Yeah, my bad, Scott. Mark gets his second foul at about 18 minutes. What did you see from your defense after that?
Well, Mark is such a great defender. Normally, when he goes out of the game, first and foremost, you worry about the loss of intensity and focus, and he covers up a lot of mistakes with his aggressiveness and toughness and his rebounding. And Matt really did a great job. When Maceo played there, he did a great job, and I thought the team really picked him up. He did a great job staying involved, and then second half, more of the same situation. So the good thing is he's rested for the next game.
All right, Chuck, we will go to you next.
Chuck Carlton, Dallas Morning News. I mean, Scott, you had a week off between games. Did you see the effects of finally being able to, get in the gym, practice, kind of do the kind of stuff to play catch up to get back to where you were? Did you see the benefits of those practices in today's game?
Most definitely. You hold a team to 35% that had really been playing well offensively in the last 5 games, really shooting it at a high clip, and you held them 29% in the first half. You forced 24 turnovers. So defensively, a lot of the rotation mistakes, a lot of our one-on-one being able to contain the ball was just a lot better. And we were a lot sharper, a lot crisper. Really credit the guys for working hard this past week. And sometimes you go into a tournament and you're worried you don't want to get injured, so you try to save yourself. And those guys knew that we had to get better, and they really got after it. And I thought it showed we made some improvements today.
All right, Andrew Miner, we will go to you next with your question.
Yeah, Coach Andrew Miner, 24/7 Sports. Today was the 4th straight game that Maceo led the team in scoring, and Jared Butler had 9 assists. What have you seen from both those guys the last couple of weeks that they've been in such a groove together?
Well, I think Jared finished with 9 assists. He didn't have a great shooting night, but we'll take 9 assists and 5 steals any day of the week. So he really made a couple. Some of them were easy passes to Mace. Some of them, like that corner pass he threw him when the drift pass when he dribbled in the lane, was a great find. I just think Jared did a great job knowing that Maceo was starting to feel it and trying to find not only the open guy but the hot guy. And at the same time, and the one good thing about Jared is, he doesn't stay cold. So usually if he's off shooting one night, the next night he's on.
All right, Chuck, we'll go to you next.
Chuck Carlton, Dallas Morning News again. Scott, you referenced Paul Mills and the ORU victory. Actually, I don't know if you noticed it. They had it up on the big board here showing the final seconds of that Ohio State game. Did you sneak a peek at all during the timeouts?
I think I was the only one not sneaking a peek. I'm talking, all the guys are watching, our coaches are watching. I'm like, what's going on? And then they told me Coach Tang's actually crying. He was so excited. So I think I was the only one on our team not watching. That's what you get for facing the wrong way.
Matt Roberts, will go to you next.
Yeah, Coach, I remember we talked about after the Big 12 tournament, kind of getting pushed a little early and then settling in, being able to settle into your rhythm a little bit. Do you feel like this was kind of one of those games where, weird environment, kind of a lot of different things in play, but your guys figured it out and kind of feel like they're in a rhythm moving forward?
Well, you always defensively, I thought we'd taken a big step forward. Offensively, as coaches, you always worry about shooting in domes, and we'd only gotten in here one time. So I think the more you get practice time in here, and the more you shoot in here, the more you'll feel at home, because it is a different environment. Teams usually, we play in a lot of different arenas. You just don't play in many domes.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Kevin, we will go to you next.
All right, Scott, Kevin Longquist, Sikkim Sports. And Scott, your bench had been struggling for the previous couple of games, but for Adam in particular, hitting a couple of those threes, how big was that, though, for him because you really need him to give you something if you're going to make this push.
Well, we need everybody to give us something, and that's the great thing about a bench and having a starting rotation. I mean, we got a lot of different guys that can score 20, and it's not going to be your night every night. So you got to have other people capable of stepping up. And I thought Adam got in a nice rhythm, had some good looks, and what I really liked was he had 3 offensive rebounds and 2 steals. So defensively, he was very good, and going to the glass, he was really good too.
All right, Kendall, we'll go to you next.
Scott, what did you see from the pick and roll defense tonight, and how John was doing in pick and roll defense and calling things out?
I thought our hands were a lot more active. I thought we contested passes a lot better. Again, our rotations were earlier, crisper. We did a better job communicating who had what. So I think again, a couple days practices really translated.
All right, John Werner, we'll go back to you.
Scott, I don't know if you've had any chance to look at North Carolina or Wisconsin. Any just general thoughts about both those teams?
Yeah, I'm hoping for a 5 overtime game, and we look forward to playing the winner.
Awesome. All right, we'll go to Jack Allen now. Jack, it's your question.
Hey, Scott. I know you talked a lot about the practices over the last few days. I was just wondering what the energy was like in those practices, and if you could go a little more into detail on what exactly y'all worked on during that time.
Well, we worked on the defensive end. A lot of our defensive drills that we did in the non-conference preseason to get ready for play, and things that when you're playing games you don't really you can't do because you can't tire guys out going into games, and you're more worried about fresh legs, scouting opponents, making sure that you offensively, defensively you're ready to execute, rather than just getting back to the basics of what our defense is about, and just the basic closeouts and rotations and schemes. So we were able to really get back to the basics and improve that and refresh their memory.
Awesome. All right, Robbie General, we will go to you.
Can you hear me? Unmute. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Hey, Coach. So I guess just in general, I mean, how gratifying is it just to be able to play in the first round of the NCAA tournament a year after it was taken away from not only you guys but everyone?
Well, I think again that's part of what goes into the excitement right now. I mean, a lot of people dreamed of playing in the tournament last year, and we're looking forward to their first opportunity. And our team, several came back to school at Baylor to do this. So the build up, the excitement, the adrenaline, and it's kind of like all year long with COVID. I mean, coaches can breathe a sigh of relief when the ball's tipped because that means that game's being played.